Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to join us this morning. My name is Curtis Hutchison. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for the South Central U.S. for Senstar. I cover Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Office just west of Austin, Texas. So given my territory, oil and gas is very important to me, very near to my heart. I'll now turn the presentation over to Stuart Dewar, our product manager for FiberPatrol, and with long experience serving the oil and gas industry. Stuart?
Thank you, Curtis. Okay, great. And again, thank you all for attending this morning. And I guess I should say good morning, good afternoon, and I think even good evening is appropriate for certain of the participants, so thank you very much. So in the next 35 minutes, we're going to go through Senstar's solutions for physical security for oil and gas infrastructure. So we'll go through it in this order. We'll tell you a little bit about Senstar, first of all. We'll talk a little bit about how we see the security challenges that are related to the protection of oil and gas infrastructure. Show you how certain of our products, the most applicable products, can be applied to those challenges. Talk a little bit about our system integration capability, and then we'll have plenty of time, and we will be all ears for any questions that you may have. So a little bit about Senstar. So first of all, Senstar has a deep track record in perimeter intrusion detection system. Our experience there goes back over 35 years. We have over 50,000 kilometers of installed sensors all over the world, all types of environments, all types of applications. We have a worldwide service and support network in place. And one of our claims to fame is that we have the world's largest privately owned perimeter intrusion detection test facility in Ottawa, Canada, where we're based. And that facility truly does see a 4-season harsh environment, so it's a great place to test sensors. When it comes to video management, we're no strangers to that capability as well. We have over 18 years of experience now in video management systems, over 25,000 video management systems deployed around the world, again, in a great variety of application types and geographical regions. That same worldwide support service and support network that supports our perimeter intrusion detection systems supports our video management systems. And we are a leader in intelligent video management solutions and are continuously evolving our capabilities in that area. Here's a quick snapshot of the global reach that Senstar brings to our customers. North America, South America, Europe, Asia, we have great coverage around the world, and this helps us support the full phase of the project. We are headquartered in Ottawa, Canada, where we have our manufacturing area, our administrative headquarters, and our sensor development engineering. We have our video and security management system development in Waterloo, Canada. And then in total, we're approximately 350 plus employees, very strong balance sheet, which the benefit of that to potential customers is that we will not only be here now to support your system, but we'll be here next year, the year after, 10 years from now into the future. You can count on Senstar being there to support our products. And over those years that we've talked about before, 35 in PIDS, 18 in VMS, we have a very enviable and proven track record for long-term support and stability. Here's a snapshot of the products that we have, and we're just going to paint the big picture for the moment before we go into more specifics of the product lines. But Senstar's range of integrated physical security solutions is truly unmatched in the industry. We have numerous fence sensors for perimeter intrusion detection. We have a hybrid fence sensor and intelligent lighting system, various above ground sensors, microwaves, electrostatic for protecting perimeters, buried systems, again, for perimeter protection, but also for third-party interference detection, both for pipelines, which we'll talk about further, and for data conduit protection. We have a personal duress / man down system that could be very helpful in the lone worker environment in oil and gas infrastructure. Our Symphony platform is very strong in the video analytics that it incorporates, and everything connects through our network manager intelligent gateway, whether that goes to third-party systems or whether we are connecting to our own security management and display systems. Here are some of the names in the oil and gas industry that we have provided solutions for over the course of time. Again, you'll see the geographical diversity in those names, and that speaks to Senstar's global support network. Security challenges. So now we're moving into what is needed for physical security in the oil and gas industry. So first of all, very generically, pretty much with any industry, you will want a system that preserves continuity of operation so that it protects against incidents that would create a service outage or a loss. You will want a system that supports workplace and public safety. You don't want people just wandering into your facilities unaware on their part, or your workers are unaware of what's happened. So to preserve safety of the workplace and public safety, security management systems help with that. Regulatory compliance, you may have a facility that's subject to a MARSEC type regulations and others. Clearly, it's typical to minimize direct losses to theft and vandalism that can happen. Any system that you deploy needs to be compatible with operational workflows. It can't be, great physical barriers that don't allow the work that needs to be done to get done. Now, more specific to oil and gas, we deal with the tremendous range of physical scale. There's enormous refineries. There are pipelines that run hundreds or thousands of kilometers. And at the other end of the scale, there's like tiny valve stations, pumping stations along pipelines that also need protection, but need appropriate protection to their scale. The technical aspect of oil and gas is that in some cases you have the presence of explosive atmospheres, so intrinsically safe solutions are of value in that case. And also, again, the scale. You're often a national or global scale organization. You want a company that you can deal with at that same scale. Here are some, ripped from the headlines, as we say, the kinds of things that appropriate physical security can help prevent. Danger to the public of people tapping and having an unfortunate result of a tapping operation, economic loss, to vandalism and tapping. If you have workers' camps or workers' facilities in somewhat hostile environments, there's an aspect of protecting the workers. And there's environmental aspects as well. If somebody, again, through the unfortunate end result of a tapping or a theft effort ends up spilling oil or petroleum products into the environment, that's not good either. So all of these are the kinds of things that appropriate physical security can help protect. So now we have the moment where our first poll comes into question. So this is where Curtis works the polling machine and pops up the poll question.
So it looks like the number one issue is, our concern is loss due to production outage from vandalism or sabotage, followed by direct economic loss from theft, regulation, and then worker safety. So looks very much centered around the economics.
Okay, good. Okay, so now we're moving into specific applications, scenarios that arise, and solutions that Senstar can put forward for those scenarios. So classically, oil and gas infrastructure is divided into the so-called streams, upstream, midstream, downstream. And here we're looking at the kinds of things that you find in the upstream environment, the exploration and drilling environment. So clearly in those environments, you have, production well pads, whether oil or gas. There's a network of gathering pipelines of some sort. There's typically some pre-processing done in the field, cleaning the gas, separating out sand, water, etc., or similarly for oil, pre-processing the oil. So there's some facilities associated with that, and then then the product is passed on with the feeder pipelines into the midstream infrastructure. So in this upstream scenario, there's lots of things to protect: well pads, manifold sites, telecommunications center, the lines that we just talked about, and becoming more and more common as in recent years, a substantial water injection infrastructure to get water, to process water, to pump it into the ground, to enhance the return of the production wells. So drilling down into that environment, we would have here, say, a classic wellhead scenario. You have your Christmas tree valve, you have some cleaning apparatus, there could be some small control center / telecommunications room, for the electronics. This is a small site, we're looking at 100 to 500 meter perimeters. Especially if it's gas, you could have potential hazardous environments. What's the threat? Theft, vandalism, sabotage by actors who want to create chaos. So what we can put forward, what Senstar can put forward as a solution to this environment, is a cost-effective fiber optic fence sensor that would be applied to the fence that's there and give you effective perimeter intrusion detection with an intrinsically safe solution, and one that would be, compatible with cameras or whatever other facilities would be there. Drilling down into a little bit of the product aspects of the particular product in question, which is our FiberPatrol FP400. Again, here's that same layout now, looking at the product placement aspects. This device can be centrally located in the telecommunications room. We have non-sensing leading cable going out to the perimeter, fiber optic cable on the fence acting as the sensor itself. So outside on this perimeter, there's no powered or conductive components whatsoever. It's totally EMI and lightning immune and intrinsically safe. And this lead-in cable can be up to 20 kilometers long. So if it made sense to concentrate the actual electronics processors in one place and feed them out to the different field facilities, you can do that if that works for the application. So what you have once with the FP400 in place, this is a network-enabled device, so it communicates to the control center through whatever means you have in place to support that IP connection, either dedicated hardwire or satellite connection or what have you. So that's the WellPad Classic solution that we can offer. The other aspect of the upstream environment is the gathering and the feeder pipelines. There's, because there's lots of wells, there's hundreds of kilometers of this facility. What's the threat? Often the threat is accidental damage. Someone starts digging unbeknownst to the fact that there is such a pipeline in place, or vandalism. Not so much product theft, because it's typically raw product or raw material in those pipelines. So what can Senstar offer to deal with this situation or this requirement? We can offer we can provide a fiber optic pipeline third-party interference detection system. So using a fiber buried in conjunction with the pipeline, either a fiber that's there expressly for the purpose of providing the TPI detection, or a fiber that's there for also the purpose of telecommunications in the field environment. We can activate that fiber with our system and detect manual digging, machine digging, presence of heavy vehicles, etc. A little bit more on that product in question. The product there is our FiberPatrol FP1150 for pipeline TPI. Quickly to the main features here, that with one of these centrally located controllers, we can provide TPI protection on up to 100 kilometers or 62 miles of coverage of gathering and feeder pipelines. When a disturbance or intrusion is detected, the system can report either by zone, which are predefined in software, or the actual down cable distance, how far it is along the fiber optic cable from the system, or if so configured through GPS. And as like our other system that we just talked about, there's nothing conductive in the field. This is fiber optic cable, so it's totally immune to EMI, lightning, and intrinsically safe. Now, just to give a bit of a flavor of what is happening with this system, I'll just run a quick video. I'll stop it for a second. So we're going to show the system response kind of in the deep technician's view that you would see as someone does manual digging in the vicinity of the cable. And I think what's notable about it is the clear-cut sensitivity of this system to this digging. This is soft ground. We're near the cable. We're getting like crystal clear signals of the digging activity. And this level of sensitivity extends for many meters outside, from other side of the cable. So this is our solution for that environment. Moving on, again, still in the upstream environment, where to manage and control all these different facilities that are in the field that we've just discussed, this information needs to go somewhere. And through the benefit of our sensors being network connected, it's easy for us to connect them to a central monitoring location, and either using our own software, such as Symphony, or third-party software, enable someone to monitor the entire field activity. This is a snapshot of our Symphony video management system / common operating platform, as we're moving the definition to, as it adds more and more capability over time. So this is Senstar's common platform for video management, security management, and access control. It has built-in analytics that include license plate recognition, face recognition, and some recently added safe spaces type algorithms to deal with workflow inside work areas to deal with COVID-19 concerns, spacing, face masks, etc. The system provides redundant server support, so it has that element of reliability, supports edge storage, and it has a map-based alarm management. And we have a little icon of the map here. This can be made up as big as you want. And this alarm display includes tight integration with the sensors. And by that, we mean that not only do you get alarm activations, but if the sensor, you get health status on the sensor, so you know that it's working. If there is an issue with the sensor, it's reported through this interface. And you also get detailed alarm location. So with the Symphony system, not only do you get knowledge that something happened in a zone, but you will get a specific range dot, as we call it, showing exactly where that intrusion occurred. So that's our monitoring solution for the field environment. Now we'll move on to Midstream. And the classic application in Midstream is the transmission pipeline. Now, course, what comes immediately to mind with pipelines is the physical pipeline itself in the ground, but there's a lot more to it than that, as we know. There's pump stations if it's an oil pipeline, there's compressor stations if it's a gas pipeline, there's valve stations, there's pig insertion and extraction points, power stations, maybe heating stations, depending on the nature of the product. Terminals, at the end point. So there's a lot of above ground infrastructure associated with this long-range transmission pipeline also. So what can we offer to help protect that? We can offer third-party interference detection, as we did before for the feeder gathering pipelines. We can offer above-ground intrusion detection for the above-ground facilities, as we have talked about before. But with this system, with the FiberPatrol, we can offer both on one system. So maybe you have lots of the above-ground sites. They might be very small. They might be very simple. They might have mechanically operated valves. They may not have infrastructure there, right? So wouldn't it be great if the same fiber, up that's protecting the pipelines along their route could be used to provide the intrusion detection of the above ground infrastructure sites. And that can be very powerful and save a lot of costs. And that's what we can do with our FiberPatrol FP1150 system. Moving on again to downstream. And again, the classic downstream infrastructure is the refinery. Typically huge, large, often built perhaps at different times with different concerns. So the perimeter looks different at different parts around it. There are some different requirements potentially, pure intrusion versus intrusion with lighting support. So a complex perimeter environment around a very large facility. So what can we propose to deal with that? So here we could probably mix and match some different products, with the starting point being, again, our fiber product that can be put on the perimeter fence in a standard way. It can be put on the perimeter fence in a high security anti-climb way. That same fiber can protect swinging gates. That same fiber can provide intrusion detection at points of the perimeter where it's advantageous to do it through a buried fiber detection scheme, either because maybe there is no fence as shown here, or it's simply desirable to have it buried, or potentially even both. We can do wall top protection, something that happens something we see very often in certain parts of the world. Part of the perimeter is a wall, right? And again, we can take that same fiber, we can apply it to the top corners of the wall, and it becomes a contact sensitive system that will detect any disturbance by the intruder or any climbing aid they may have, such as a rope or grappling hook, et cetera, will be detected by the application of the fiber at the top corners of the wall. We can detect culverts. A large site is going to have drainage. So if there's culverts and grids protecting the culverts, we can protect that also with the fiber. Now, there may be scenarios where lighting is either non-existent or deemed to be inadequate. Now, our fiber sensor will not create light, for the perimeter. So now we would integrate into that part of the perimeter our LM100 integrated intrusion detection system and intelligent lighting solution. And we can use the fibers in this cable going around the whole facility as the communication path for the controller. So it's integrated in that sense of the communication. So that's our LM100 system there for lighting. Here's a little bit more about the LM100. nighttime view of the luminaires lighting up the perimeter. Here's a diagram showing the light pattern that we get from the system, and it's designed to give you a uniform focus pattern to help the cameras work most efficiently, not light up the whole neighborhood, which no one wants to do, but just give the lighting where it's required to have the lighting. The lighting that the system provides is programmable. It can be activated on alarms, either from itself or from other systems. It can be controlled through a schedule to go on at certain times, to bright up at certain times. And it's very important to say that this is a low voltage solution, 12 to 48 volts DC, and which dramatically simplifies the whole installation aspect. There's no AC mains to deal with in installing the LM100 solution. Now I'm going to play a quick video that gives you a little bit more of an idea about the system, a little visual idea about the system. So we're highlighting the luminaires there. This is overlaid. We're highlighting the detection aspects here, but here's what we want to show. Intruder attacks the perimeter. Those lights go on. I'll play that again. Now the lights go on either because it's triggered by a separate system, so we can have in video analytics, recognizing that there's someone there, and then activating the lights, or the sensors built into it can be activating the lights, or one of our FiberPatrol system can be activating lights, but whatever activates them creates a deterrent effect. And it's not easy to show in the video, but there's definitely a startle and momentary disorientation that comes with these bright flashing lights coming out seemingly kind of out of nowhere from the point of view of the intruder, that creates delay, creates confusion, and ideally deters the person from proceeding with his intrusion. To completely fill the gap or provide the full protection that we need on the perimeter, there'll often be sliding gates as part of a perimeter. They'll almost always be. And we don't recommend the application of any kind of cable-based sensor for that. We recommend the application of our accelerometer-based wireless gate sensor. So this would be attached to the gate. It needs a base station of some sort that it will report to. That base station can again be integrated to fibers if we're using FiberPatrol for the full perimeter. In that case, we're using extra fibers in the FiberPatrol cable as the communication path back to the control center for the wireless gate sensor. Okay, time for our second poll.
So it looks like the major concerns are limited physical security in place and too many false alarms.
Well, okay, those are good. That's good feedback. So once again, we thank you for that, and helps us learn a little bit as we go through this. Okay, so moving on, thank you for that. Now we're going to talk a bit about system integration, because it's great to have effective sensors, but that's only part of the package. So with Senstar, the cornerstone, the centerpiece to the integration story is what we call our network manager software. On one side, it deals completely with the communication with the sensors, of which there's different options of how the different sensors can connect. Ethernet is growing in popularity, obviously very standard, very convenient. We also have long-range fiber, RS422 network options that can be appropriate also. And our sensors support either point-to-point connections to the control room environment, or daisy chain networks, which enable you to reduce wiring if you have a multitude of sensors around the perimeter. Instead of using point-to-point wiring, the daisy chain is much more effective that way. So Network Manager collects all the data from the sensors, one way or the other. What is the Network Manager? It's essentially a Windows service that runs on a PC, supports all our sensors. It has a built-in alarm logic capability, which means that you have the option to combine activations from multiple sensors to create rules on that could then be the alert at the end of the day. So I guess back to the false alarm question, if you wanted to combine two sensors together, you need to see something buried and you need to see something on the fence, before you put it in front of your operators. That's the function that the alarm logic engine could support. The Network Manager supports redundancy, so we can have two PCs running Network Managers, and they'll toggle back and forth, depending on the health status of that. The Network Manager is very powerful in its logging utility, so that whatever problems there are, whether it's a technical problem, whether it's a event history that needs to be reviewed, it stores a very detailed level of information. Now, the centerpiece and the critical thing that the Network Manager does, the most important thing that it does, is provide a common API connection to the outside world. Whether that be third parties that have done integrations to the Network Manager, whether it's our own software, for alarm monitoring and video management, or whether it's over a standardized interface like the configurable ASCII interface that we have, or if all else fails, we can close relays, and that can be the means to communicate the alarm conditions to the outside world, either as the primary or sometimes as a fallback capability. We can use the relay. So that's the Network Manager, and everything flows through it. Having talked about the API and the integrations, obviously that's only helpful if software integration exists. And there are many integrations have been done to the Network Manager, some by Senstar, others by the third party, and these are many of them. So there's a good chance that the system that you need to interface to, there is an existing integration. So we're kind of winding down, talked about the challenges, talked about some of the solutions that Senstar can put forward. But here's, again, the overall scenario product portfolio for Senstar. And just a reminder that there's many things that we did not talk about. We did not talk about our ultra-wave microwaves, our X-field electrostatic sensor, our Omnitrax buried systems. And not to say that they aren't relevant in certain applications of oil and gas, they're just not the most commonly used in that, so we just focused on certain ones of them. We didn't talk about our man-down system. And again, the portfolio is vast, and not only sensors, but also the monitoring capability that we have with our Symphony open platform, and the open gateway that we provide through our Network Manager. So that's, again, a snapshot of Senstar's product. So with that, I come down to the key points that I've hoped to leave you with. That Senstar's product portfolio makes it uniquely capable to offer an optimum physical security solution for the full range of oil and gas infrastructure, and most importantly, yours, whatever problem you're trying to solve. Senstar has a substantial track record in successfully delivering physical security solutions for oil and gas projects, diverse geographies all over the world. And Senstar has global reach, and we can support you through the different phases of the project. And there can be planning and discovery phases taking place in one part of the world. FAT testing is going to be done somewhere else. The final installation and support happens in a third place yet again. So we have the means to support the project through all these different phases. So those are the key points I want to leave you with. And with that, thank you very much. We have time for questions, and we would love to hear of any questions that you may have.
So, Stuart, a couple of questions that came through during the presentation. First one, I'll direct towards you. What is the principle of operation behind the long-range fiber system?
Yeah, okay, good question, because yeah, we haven't been going deep into the product, so that's a good logical question. So the system that we talked about quite a bit is the FiberPatrol FP1150, and it uses what is typically called a coherent optical time delay reflectometer based principle. And essentially it's kind of like a radar, but it works with light. Send pulses of light down, listen to the reflections that come back. Where the fiber is disturbed, there will be some change in the amount of reflected energy from that point, and through timing mechanisms like using radar, you can locate that there is a disturbance and where it is along the cable. So good question.
Okay, next question. And I'm not sure on this one. Are your fiber sensors solutions, LM100, wireless gate sensor, etc., ATEX certified? I think that's very regionally specific. Outside of my...
yeah, I can comment on that. So yes and no, I guess. Some of them are intrinsically safe and deemed to not require any ATEX certification, because what's outdoors in the so-called classified regions is just fiber. So the FiberPatrol FP1150 would be like that. The FP400 would be like that. The others are not, I guess, just to make it simple. So yeah, that's so some yes and some no.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What do we suggest for short-term PIDs, perimeter intrusion detection, for construction of a remote pump station, which may not have dedicated electric during the time of construction? And I'll answer this one because I actually am working on construction projects currently in this specific situation. Depending on the size of the project, the LM100 is a very good solution because it does provide both detection and a level of deterrence and camera support. Further, it is low voltage, where each luminaire has a maximum 2.5 watt draw. So very easily can be run on, if you have temporary power through using something like a perpetual power unit, or even using solar power and battery storage on a small scale. Yeah, so next question. When is it planned that the Network Manager Direct will be integrated in with Symphony?
It is.
I can answer this question as well, yeah, because it is. It is just a matter of going into Symphony and adding Network Manager as a device, adding the IP address and establishing that communications. Once that communications is established, Network Manager will be sending all of its alarm data to the Symphony client server.
Yeah, there's a very, very tight integration between the Symphony and the Network Manager.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to do that in the field for the first time a couple of weeks ago. It was very quick and easy and was a very seamless integration.
Great, awesome.
Do we have time for a couple more?
Yeah.
Okay. And next question again regarding Symphony. With Symphony, is it limited to a certain number of cameras, or can I use my existing cameras? Okay.
Oh, so I thought you said do it for me. So yeah. So I mean, clearly, there's no limit on the number of cameras with Symphony.
And just to expand on that a little bit, we are constantly updating our supported devices list. We want to be an open architecture platform to be able to use the best technology, the best camera for your individual situation. So as new cameras come out, we work very hard to bring them into the supported devices list.
Okay.
I think the last question that I have is when using the LM100, you showed the diagram that showed the uniform lighting condition around the perimeter. How many or how often do I need to install the light fixtures to achieve that uniform lighting condition?
Yeah, good question. We recommend approximately 20 feet, basically every second fence panel. For typical fence constructions, that's the whole design of the system is designed around that spacing.
Okay, well, that's all the questions that I have currently.
Well, that's great. Thank you for those who put in questions. It's always interesting to hear from you. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation today and got some useful information out of it. And please stay tuned for other Senstar webinars coming up in the future. Thank you very much.